Red seedless grapes only $3.99 per pound. Fresh PERDUE chicken drumsticks half price $1.79 per pound. Select varieties of YOPLAIT yogurt 6-ounce tubs only $1.09. Scott Extra Soft toilet tissue 4 rolls only $3.29. Tide 2X laundry detergent 92-ounce bottle hot price $19.99. Save $7.06. All stores open Monday through Saturday 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
You're watching Bermuda Broadcasting News. It's Thursday, May the 10th. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. As first reported by ZBM's Gary Moreno, the One Bermuda Alliance candidates to contest the June 7th by-elections are attorney Scott Pierman in Paget East and OBA Deputy Chair Justin Mathias in Warwick Northeast. Both candidates were unveiled at OBA headquarters today by party leader Gene Atherton. Mr. Pierman is no stranger to Paget East. He lives in the constituency and has served as the OBA's regional chair for the area.
I put my name forward because, like Bermudians everywhere, I want our island to succeed. That can only happen when people of goodwill step forward and work together to serve the greater good. I believe deeply in public service. I want to use my time to build trust in our political system, to work together, and to create opportunities for all Bermudians. As for me, I was born and raised in Paget, and I live in the constituency with my wife and our 4 children. As a lawyer, I have learned how to fight for people, both in and out of court. I have served charities supporting the elderly, the infirm, and the needy, including my responsibilities for many years as director of the Family Center. In each of these roles, I have gained some understanding of the struggles faced by many Bermudian families. I believe we must do all we can to make Bermuda work better for those most in need. That is where my vision for this island begins.
Mr. Mathias, meanwhile, has sat in the Senate and is the deputy chair of the party and its chair of its youth arm, the future OPA. He says, having been born and lived in Paget all his life, he feels he is well prepared to serve the voters there should he be elected to the House of Assembly, where he intends to initiate change.
My intent is to raise the level of discourse in politics and fight for meaningful solutions to the issues that Bermudians face. From the lack of opportunities for youth and those that are unemployed, for the young and unborn Bermudians that deserve a quality education, to the access to affordable health care and ensuring the care of our aging population. These all encompass equality of opportunity, a principle that I will champion. It shouldn't matter what family you are born into, what parish you grew up in, or what school you attended. We should all have the same opportunities to succeed. I will fight to make sure favorable conditions exist for this to be a reality. I am prepared to be the voice of those that worry about their future and the future of their children and grandchildren. My generation will be the leaders of tomorrow, and the inspiration that I have received through my chairmanship of the FBA has been paramount in getting me to run today. The encouragement that I have received from the youth and those that I've worked beside makes it clear that our future is very bright. I hope that this is the first step in many in ushering young people to get involved and feel passionate about the issues that face us.
And during today's press conference, Gary Moreno asked Ms. Atherton why she chose to run relative newcomers instead of more experienced people such as Andrew Simons or Robin Swan.
When you are in a situation where the party is rebuilding, sometimes getting people in so that they can grow and become the beginning of the longevity is the best course of action. And so these 2 individuals are going to be the change, and the other individuals that you've talked about, we have plans for them. We have plans to have an orderly succession planning, and those will be evolving.
Mr. Pierman will be up against the PLP's Curtis Richardson in Paget East, and Mr. Mathias will contest for the Warwick Southeast seat with the PLP's Curtis Dickinson. Both by-elections take place on June the 7th. We'll have more for you after this short break, including all the latest weather news. Stay with us.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking, along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Bermuda. You want it. You need it. You asked for it. Backed by popular demand. One Communications presents Razor Returns.
It was an awesome present! Oh, big fan. It was an awesome show. Amazing.
What an incredible show. I never expected it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
May 11th, 12th, and 13th. Featuring a special Mother's Day show. A special Mother's Day show that will mesmerize your mind.
It's mind-blowing. I can't figure out how any of that happened. I don't want to know. I don't know. My mind's blown.
Razor Returns. May 11th, 12th, and 13th. Tickets sold at Audiovisual Hamilton and Somerset, Fairmont Southampton, and online at ptix.bs. Sponsored in part by Exclusive Events, the Sarah's Family of Service Stations, Photogenic Photography, Fairmont Southampton Hotel, and Exclusive Flowers. Tickets are disappearing fast, so get yours today.
Welcome back. Well, Bermuda's children may be at a greater risk of developing psychological disorders than ever before. That's one of the key messages being propagated on Child Mental Health Awareness Day, when organizations around the world focus on the importance of caring for the mental health needs of the next generation. Earlier this week, hundreds of school students tackled the trigger issues of cyberbullying and online stalking during a digital citizenship conference. Many of the same concerns came up today when Gary Foster Skelton spoke to Dr. Carla Bean of the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute about this year's Awareness Day.
This year's theme is Hope After Trauma. Can you tell us what that means?
Well, in general, the definition of trauma, if we go back to antiquity, actually meant, the Greek word meant wound, right? So as time goes on, we recognize that wounds are not only necessarily physical, but can be psychological and emotional. However, the outcomes don't have to be negative outcomes. With proper intervention, there can be more positive outcomes, even with the population of those that do experience some level of trauma.
How big a problem are child psychological disorders in Bermuda?
Bermuda, per se, we often are very similar to, say, US and UK statistics.
Is it getting worse?
What I'm thinking is happening is that children today are faced with a lot of environmental factors that are leading to more complexity in cases. So we're not talking about more mental illness or being on the rise, but we're talking about the cases that we are seeing are more complex, which may be due to factors such as exposure to social media, whereas we've not had that previously. So things like cyberbullying, before we had access to social media, it was generally face-to-face in school type bullying, and so once you were home, you were free from it. Now we have children are always on their phones and tablets and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and so all of those are also avenues for being bullied. And so it's almost as if it's much more difficult to get away from it.
We often use the word bullying when the same act would be called abuse if an adult was the victim or the perpetrator. Are we softening the reality of this issue?
It's not so much the term, I think it's our recognition of the seriousness of what's happening. So regardless of what we call it, recognizing that bullying can be very serious and still have the same types of effects on a child and on their psyche that abuse can have.
What are the signs that a child or a youth has been through trauma?
You may see, for instance, children that are doing poorly in school. Academically, they're not able to perform because they're not able to concentrate. There's disruption in sleep during the night, so in the mornings they're not able to function as well or during the day as they would. You may see children that have been exposed to domestic violence, violence in the home, and so they either become very passive or they may themselves become aggressive and violent.
How can we give hope to those who have experienced trauma? Education,
knowing that there are resources available, knowing that there are places where they can come and get the help that they need, and that there is a group of people here that's willing to help.
Turning to weather news after a lovely Thursday, what's the outlook for tomorrow? Here's the latest from AccuWeather headquarters.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
This AccuWeather forecast here on ZBM is brought to us by our friends at the BF&M Insurance Group, and we will have some showers tonight and tomorrow. We really do need a little more rain than we're going to see, most likely. Every week that we don't see a full inch of rain, we're falling a little more behind, and it looks more likely that we see well under an inch out of this. Now, it will be a wet time late tonight into tomorrow. We're going to begin with a visible satellite loop. You can see a band of showers and clouds well off to the east, but the main event and the front is still off to our west. You'll notice, though, there are gaps in the cloud cover tied to the front, so it's not a really robust rainmaker. In fact, the most widespread showers are now to our east, but we're going to keep an eye on this, and we do expect to see some showers roll in. The satellite estimate of where the showers have been show that we had a band across the area, but again, the real wind shift will come in soon. As you can see, sometimes fronts are really fragmented. You might have two true fronts roll through, or two boundaries in the atmosphere where the wind shifts. And number two is still to our west. That's going to gradually push in our direction, the upper level wind steering that in. Temperatures are still warm. We're still at 75 across the area. By the way, with the recent flow from the south and southeast, water temperatures have jumped. Now up to 76 degrees, 75.9. So it's about a degree or two jump from earlier in the week. Humidity is still high, and on the inside, waves are still fairly small, but on the outside, waves are growing a little bit, 4 to 6 footers now. So we'll have breezy weather and the continuation of a shower or two in the forecast tonight, 71, your warm low. There is a small craft warning in effect from late Friday morning through Friday afternoon into the early evening hours, and then we will see a reduction in the wave height and better boating weather once again. So high tide was just at 5:42, low tide 11:56. So the tide's going to be going out all evening, comes back in 6:04 tomorrow morning, and then it goes back out around midday tomorrow, 12:13 low tide. So tomorrow, here is our true front. Scattered thunderstorms and showers, breezy, still warm, 76. But again, it might be best that we actually hope for some decent rain out of this, because the showers are going to be scattered, thunderstorms will be scattered, and beyond that, there will be a return to dry weather once again. So the wind still from the south. Here comes the front, and again, with that front pushing in, we'll eventually see those winds shift, and then tomorrow late in the day, we'll exchange the south wind to more of a northwest wind that will begin the rapid process of drying back out for the weekend. So it'll be a nice weekend for us. Fairly decent weather up and down the east coast of the U.S. into eastern Canada. London looks nice, 65, partly sunny there. Take you down to the Caribbean, scattered showers and storms in Jamaica. Barbados looks great. Trinidad a little bit damp at times. Our forecast, still wet, showers, maybe a thunderstorm on Friday. Dry weather returns. We don't get much cooler out there. We're going to send it back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
For all the ways your mom says I love you, make her Mother's Day truly special with a gorgeous bouquet from Exclusive Flowers. Visit us online or call to order that amazing arrangement she exclusively deserves.
Welcome back. Well, public satisfaction with the government is on the rise, with a growing number of Bermudians now expressing approval. And that increase apparently crosses the racial divide, with satisfaction at the government's performance growing among both black and white residents. A new survey shows 69% of people approved of Premier David Byrd's administration, with just 21% dissatisfied. That's a jump in approval rates of 14% since December last year. It's the first increase recorded by the Bermuda Omnibus survey since the government came to power in 2017. Notably, both black and white residents express growing satisfaction with approval among white residents, now at 54%. That's up 22 points since December. Among black residents, approval rates are 84%, up 13 points. The rising approval among white residents is a turnaround from the second half of 2017, when satisfaction among this group plummeted within months of the Progressive Labor Party taking office. The survey also looked at what are the population's main concerns. The economy is now seen as the Bermuda's most important issue, while employment is second. And sadly, Colin Selly, one of the key figures in the heyday of tourism in Bermuda, has died at the age of 90. Mr. Selly was also well known as a tennis player representing the island at international tournaments abroad and founding the Bermuda Lawn Tennis Association. Known as Mr. Tourism, Selly began his career in tourist promotion in the 1950s. He was the head of the Department of Tourism from 1975 to 1984. Mr. Selly was widely praised for his work championing the island as it sought to grow its tourist industry in the 50s and 60s, traveling the world to sell Bermuda's attractions. After his retirement in 1984, his skills in the industry were in wide demand as other destinations sought to learn the secrets of his success. An insurance firm, XL Catlin, and the Nature Conservancy have teamed up to put a market value on the services coastal wetlands provide. It's the first initiative of its kind and serves a dual purpose, helping companies offset their carbon footprint and providing funding for wetland conservation. The announcement came on the final day of the very first Ocean Risk Summit being held at the Fairmont, Southampton. Our Tony Waterman explains how it works and why it's needed.
Hurricane Harvey. Torrential downpours, widespread flooding, emergency evacuations. Harvey was a natural disaster with a very human touch.
So we have these extreme conditions happening again and again. At the same time, their impact is heavier, referring to the coastal areas, and this is happening especially in the areas where the natural infrastructure is destroyed.
In the decades leading up to Hurricane Harvey, the Houston metropolitan area underwent rapid urbanization. This satellite image shows just how drastically the area went from lush green to concrete jungle. Some areas lost 70% of their wetlands, nature's sponge against the elements.
Mangroves, for example, they can reduce wave height by 66% or more by just having 100 meters of mangroves. So they're very good at breaking down waves and reducing the amount of area that's flooded. Another study, for example, showed after Hurricane Sandy that salt marshes in Maryland and Delaware, if they had not been there, the loss from Hurricane Sandy would have been probably 30% higher.
Besides water, wetlands also trap billions of tons of carbon from the atmosphere. This is known as blue carbon. XL Catlin and the Nature Conservancy are hoping to put a price tag on this blue carbon and sell it to companies looking to offset their carbon footprint.
We manufacture risk solutions, but not products that emit carbon into the atmosphere. But because our employees travel and we have lights and electricity in our buildings, we do try to offset those emissions with terrestrial carbon credits, building forests. What the Nature Conservancy has developed is a product where we can offset those carbon, that carbon with credits, however, that also build resilience in coastal communities.
For insurance and reinsurance firms like XL Catlin, the conservation and restoration of wetlands could also help the bottom line. Hurricane Harvey, after all, inflicted $125 billion in damage. The team expects it will take a few years before the blue carbon credits hit the market, and developing the methodology will come with its own unique set of challenges, like fairly valuing the credits and choosing the best sites to study.
The human reaction can be the catastrophe or can be the solution.
Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Still to come, Earl Basden will have all the latest sports news in just a few minutes.
You can count on us.
Fresh Driscoll strawberries, 1 pound package, $6.99. Fresh certified Angus beef top round steak, $6.99 per pound. Tostitos tortilla chips, 10-ounce bags, hot price at $4.99. Kellogg's Special K cereal, 12-ounce box, only $6.99. Select a size roll, Bounty paper towels, hot price, $2.49. All stores open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
This is Rick Blomquist of De Pere, Wisconsin. His life is pretty comfortable. He lives in a comfy home, wears comfortable shoes. He even has a comfortable job. Rick Blomquist thought he had comfort all figured out. But then he laid on a Serta and realized his life was only just sorta comfortable.
Living a lie.
The new Certa iComfort Hybrid Mattress. Not just sorta comfortable, Certa comfortable.
Feel the difference a good night's sleep can make. Exclusively available at Dreams, Bermuda's only mattress gallery.
Are you looking to expand your customer base, increase sales, and be a part of the Island Community Events for 2018? Bermuda Broadcasting Company can make that happen.
Be a part of World Cup 2018, Bermuda Day Half Marathon, Bermuda Heroes Weekend, Cup Match Classic, and Eastern Counties Cricket.
Inquire about our new advertising opportunities, whether big or small. We will deliver. Come and see us at Fort Hill, Devonshire, or email us at sales@bbc.pm or send us a message on Facebook at Bermuda Broadcasting.
Welcome back. As ever, Earl Basden has tonight's sports report.
7 goals were scored at the BAA field last evening as the Bermuda International Football Festival continued.
West Ham United scored early in both halves to set the tone for a 5-1 win over the Bermuda League select. Evan Curry gave West Ham United the lead in the 15th minute. He would double that lead on the stroke of halftime with a creative build-up. 5 minutes into the second half, West Ham would go up 3-0 when Emmanuel Longello scored. 5 minutes later, it was 4-0 when Bernardo Rossa scored, and then Kyle McGinchey would make it 5-0 in the 80th minute. The Bermuda League select team would not be denied as Callan Mabry scored in the 90th minute. Only one goal came in the second match, and that was from Andre Silver, who scored for the Azores under-19 team in their 1-0 win over the Bermuda under-19 team. Taylor Canfield's US-1 sailing team completed a clean sweep in the round-robin stages of the 68th Argo Group Gold Cup Sailing Regatta on the Hamilton Harbor. Canfield and his crew continued their winning ways. They started the day before and finished with a 10-0 record. They advanced to Friday's quarterfinal round, where they'll choose their opponents. Finishing second in the round-robin was Johnny Bartson with a 9-1 record. Joachim Aschenbrenner was third with an 8-2 record. Nicholas Dackhammer was fourth with a 6-4 record, and Lucy McGregor rounded out the top five with a 6-4 record. Hours after the Hamilton Harbor was used for the Argo Group Gold Cup, local sailors took to the water and the start line for the Wednesday night sailing series. On race day 3, Crossfire was the first boat to cross the line, clocking a time of 49.27, and with the corrected time of 54.14, saw them finish first on the night. Nasty Madison crossed the line second on the night with a time of 56.03, and with their corrected time of 101.09, saw them finish ninth on the night. Honey Badger was second on the night with a corrected time of 56.41 after clocking a time of 101.19. Air Force was third on the night with a corrected time of 55.57. Mayhem was fourth with a time of 58.19, and Man of War rounded out the top five finishers with a corrected time of 58.28. Bermuda's Flora Duffy's road to Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games officially kicks off this weekend as the 2018 World Triathlon Series Yokohama event begins the 2-year Olympic qualification period for triathlon. In the third stop of the series, elites will battle it out in the second Olympic distance course of the season. As we all know, Flora Duffy won the first one right here in Bermuda. Both 2017 World Triathlon Series Yokohama race winners Duffy and Mario Mola are returning to claim their titles. Following the conclusion of the ICC World Cricket League Division 4 tournament in Malaysia, we now take a look at the numbers for the Bermuda men's national cricket team. Captain Terran Frey was the overall top scorer in the batting department with 167 runs. Kamal Lavrock scored 139 for the second highest, and Okira Bascom scored 94. Frey was the top individual scorer with a knock of 77. Lavrock had knocks of 66 and 61. Frey had another knock of 56, and Gennaro Tucker scored 55. In the bowling department, Dion Stovall claimed the most wickets, taking 10. Tucker grabbed 6, and Charles Trott claimed 4 wickets. CJ Otterbridge, Tucker, and Stovall all held on to 3 catches each.
Marvin Brinkman competed in the Biltmore Challenge. Riding MM Godiva Chocolate, Brinkman finished first out of 43 riders in the FEI 100-mile endurance ride with a Certificate of Capability time, which is a requirement in order to compete in the 4 world events such as the World Equestrian Games that is scheduled for September 2018 in North Carolina.
2 rounds down of competition at the Trump National Doral in Miami, Bermuda's Kitty Michaels women's golf team is leading the field in the low gross division. The Bermuda team are 8 strokes ahead of Southwest Florida with a score of 518. Bermuda is also in second place in the low net division with a score of 444, only 2 strokes behind the leaders, Panama. Kathy Lloyd Hines achieved the lowest gross score in both rounds, shooting 86 at the Blue Monster course in the first round and 80 at the Golden Palm course during her second round. 20 goals were scored last evening in the Bermuda Inline Ball Hockey League at the PCC Hockey Rink. In the opener, 11 goals were scored, with the St. David's Islanders edging the Southampton Sailors 6-5. The St. David's Islanders were led by Jeremy Esty, who scored 4 times. Pete Brodsky and Scott Shannon both added a goal each. Andrew Carnow and Adam Mattall both scored twice for the Southampton Sailors, with Townie Jackson adding the other. In the nightcap, the Tuckerstown Tropics would record a 7-2 win over the Warwick Waves. Owen Cease would lead the way with a hat-trick for the Tuckerstown Tropics, while Ryan Wilson and Shannon Goose added 2 goals each. The Warwick Waves would get a goal each from Josh Bush and Brian White. Shanae Smith represented Victoria Christian Center at the Dual Image Orthodontist Last Chance Invitational Track Meet. Smith won the women's varsity 100 meters, clocking a time of 12:79. Then she would win the 200 meter event in a time of 25:62. Gabriella Arnold and her Marian University teammates began taking part in the 2018 USA Cycling Collegiate Road Nationals. On race day 1, Arnold finished 42nd in the women's national road race, stopping the clock in a time of 2:59:58.
I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
Thanks, Earl. Well, one of the world's best-known portrait photographers is creating a new artwork composed entirely of images of Bermudians. Alistair Morrison has taken photographs of many of the world's most famous actors, sports personalities, and rock stars with his pictures on gallery walls across the globe. His new project will see him take 13 images of Bermudians, with the public getting to choose 2 of the subjects. Hal Davis reports.
There aren't many photographers who can get more than 70 music legends to help out with a project. But Alistair Morrison has been taking pictures of the famous for decades. This work, the Adoration Trilogy Searching for Apollo, was produced in support of cancer charities. But it's not just rock stars who want to appear before his lens. Some of the world's most famous actors and sports stars are also among Morrison's subjects. But in an age when stars are surrounded by entourages and PR men, it must be difficult to get close to such well-known personalities.
The problem is everybody who's building up the brick walls around them. So you have to climb that wall, and once you're over that wall and in their company, it's very much about your personality and their personality. And luckily, because they know my work now, they understand it, and there is that sense that they want to be photographed by me.
That's not to say it's always plain sailing. Actor Tommy Lee Jones turned up very late to a shoot without explanation.
And when he walked into the room, everybody sort of said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Lee Jones, how are you?" And I just looked at my watch and said, "Now that you're 3 hours late, will you give me an extra hour?" And the publicist looked at me as if to say, "He's going to leave, he's not going to like that." But actually, by me standing up to him, he gave me a wonderful hour shoot. But right on the dot of the hour, he left the studio. He didn't even, I was halfway through shooting him. He didn't say goodbye to me, he said goodbye to everybody else. But he got to the door and he turned around and he winked at me. And that wink was almost like, well, you know my game and I know yours, and I appreciate the fact that you stood up to me. So.
Now the man known for portraying the famous is turning his lens towards Bermuda, all part of an examination of his own past.
Over the last few years, I've done what I call a legacy collection, and the legacy collection included quite a famous picture that I've done of called The Actor's Last Supper, which is based on the Leonardo da Vinci. And as part of the sequence that I'm doing, this Bermudian legacy is very much about my past, and therefore I felt that it was really lovely to be able to ask a number of Bermudians to be part of a legacy photograph.
Morrison's links to the island are strong. His mother, seen here in a photograph by her son, lived in Bermuda when she was young, while his grandparents were also residents.
Yeah, I do have a long-held history with Bermuda. My grandparents came here back in the 30s. My grandfather was on his way to New York. He stopped here, decided that Bermuda was much lovelier than New York, stayed here, worked at the post office. My grandmother came over from Ireland. She was a great golfer, and of course Bermuda is so much respected for their beautiful golf courses. And ultimately they got married and they had 4 children, one of whom was my mother.
13 Bermudians will now have the chance to follow in the footsteps of luminaries like Elton John and Helen Mirren. 11 of the subjects will be chosen by Morrison himself, but 2 will be nominated by the people of Bermuda, with Morrison asking for suggestions on his website. So, a rare chance for your own personal icon to get the same treatment as superstars like Tom Cruise. Howell Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Very cool. Well, the finished artwork, Bermudian Legacy, will be displayed at the Hamilton Princess. And if you want to nominate your icon to be included, the website to visit is alistairmorrison.com/Bermudian-legacy. And you'll need to give a reason for your choice. The closing deadline is June the 15th. That's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thanks for sharing your Thursday evening with us, everyone. Good night.